It's time for Spotlight on Business on the NCWLIFE channel, where we shine the light on businesses in North Central Washington. On today's show, Cascade Autocenter, Highlander Golf Course, and Lake Chelan Mail Boxes. Welcome to the NCWLIFE Spotlight on Business. Today, we're driving cars. No, we're not driving cars. We're actually talking about a car dealership that's been around in the Wenatchee Valley since the 1930s. In 1980, the Baldock family took over, and we're going to learn more about their story, this dealership, and how Cascade Autocenter continues to serve North Central Washington. It's right here on the NCWLIFE channel. Owner Steve Baldock and his son Jordan say there's a lot of history behind Cascade Autocenter.
Don Miller, born March 1st of 1900, and actually had a used car lot in Chelan, and then in 1932 opened the Chevy store here. He would go to meetings when he was a new dealer, and he would bring to dealer meetings, and he'd bring a box of apples and put an apple at every dealer's place, because he wanted to be known, you know, as Don Miller from Wenatchee, the apple capital of the world. He got tired of driving, and so George Miller, his son, who was my original partner in 1980, and whose son, Bill Miller, still works for us, has been here all 38 years. He thought that it would be a good idea if George got a pilot's license so that they could fly to meetings. The first time they're going to go to Seattle, they take off, and Don said, "No, I want you to follow Highway 97 over Blewett Pass." And George, well, you know, what's the point of flying if we're going to follow the road? Well, Don wanted to always see that road in case they needed to land unexpectedly. I had known George from dealer meetings and whatnot. And kind of another interesting story, my wife and I went to school in the University of Montana, and we would come through Washington on our way to Seattle to visit her grandparents. And every time I set foot in the state, I'd get a speeding ticket. And of course, all I ever saw was eastern Washington along I-90, where it was just, as you know, desert, and then you'd get into the rainforest, and Washington was not something that I was even interested in. But I had a couple friends, one from Ellensburg and one from Sunnyside, that said, "You got to come look at Wenatchee." So finally, in Thanksgiving of 1979, I had conversations with George and came up, and of course I just fell in love. This is, as you know, the most beautiful place in the state. 1980, I'll remind you, Jimmy Carter was president, interest rates were 22%. We were, in fact, the only union shop in all of Central Washington. So it was a tough time. So when we moved out here, we were Chevrolet, Mazda, Jeep, Eagle, Subaru. And then we had an opportunity to pick up Oldsmobile and Cadillac, but that necessitated me separating the non-GM franchises. So we then bought this property and tore the shopping center down and built this building in 2000. And then, you know, Oldsmobile went away, Jeep in the bankruptcy of Chrysler was taken from us. I'm still angry. And then, of course, Apple Valley Honda moved to East Wenatchee, and then we purchased that property a couple years ago. So, yeah, we've expanded over the years.
38 years later, Steve says it's time to start handing the reins over to his son, Jordan.
I was down in Southern California with my then girlfriend, and the company down there was getting a little shaky, and her commute was terrible. And this conversation between us has come up 100 times. Like, "Are you sure? Are you sure?" And finally, I sat down with Gwen, and you know, we had a serious talk about it, and it kind of made sense. Her family is over in Seattle, so she has the opportunity to be closer to them, and being back in this valley is phenomenal. And you know, as I've been here for the last almost 3 years now, and kind of seeing everything that goes on here, and all the moving parts, and how big this place really is, it's really changed my opinion on what goes on here.
Jordan's brother is a musician, so he was just simply not interested. And but no, it was never grooming the kids to come in and you know, continue. But then when I start, you know, maybe it was like time to do a will or something, and I thought, gee, someday I maybe will die. It was time to start thinking about this. And plus my wife and I wanted to, you know, do some other things, travel and whatnot. I looked at what was I going to do? Because and this is especially became urgent because Tom Welch, our general manager, is retiring at the end of the year. I thought about my employees. We have 100+ families working here. And I looked at them, and my choices, you know, if we were decided to sell the place, their future would be who knows what. It wouldn't be this. I can promise you that. And so that kind of tugged at my heartstrings a little bit because they're the reason for our longevity and our success. I don't spend any time with Jordan on how to sell a car or to analyze a repair order. I mean, my managers are doing all that. My time with Jordan is spent if I have someone coming to see me for something that we should be involved in, or I have a customer who maybe is a bit of a challenger employee. How do I deal with that? So that's my the urgency I feel here is teaching him the other side of the business, which really has nothing to do with the car business. This place affords me the opportunity to do what we want to do as far as our really giving back to all that we've been given.
It's not only what I see, but it's what everybody else around me consistently likes to remind me of. Is you know, wow, I've never worked for anybody like your dad. This isn't like any other place. This is my only car dealership that I've ever worked at, so just speaking off of just what I know, but I can see that this place is something special.
Steve always says, put the money aside and do what makes the customer happy, and don't worry about the financial, and that'll come back if you make sure that everyone's being treated right. It didn't take long for me to realize that this is going to work. You hear horror stories about, you know, owners' kids coming back to work for the dealership, and I can honestly say that this situation is not one of those bad ones. He gets along. He understands the philosophy here. He gets it.
We can accommodate every automotive need the person might have, and I would be sorry if I didn't mention our body shop, which is part of the dealership. That's another little bit of an interesting story. Back in probably the late '80s, when all the EPA stuff was coming in and hazardous waste and material and whatnot, most car dealerships got rid of their body shops. And I thought, well, I'm going to go against the trend, and I kind of doubled down on that. And so today, I mean, this body shop we have down here is, we have, I think, every insurance company contract in the valley. I mean, it is just exceptional. And I'm so proud of those guys and the facility and the work that they do. But same would be true with the shop and the parts department. I said earlier that my job is to watch over the financial stuff, but part of that job for my employees also is to give them the tools and equipment in a work environment that they need to do their job. I think it's the general impression that people have of, you know, Cascade Autocenter. Yeah, that's a good place. You know, if we can just have people feel that, I'll be pretty happy.
Coming up next on Spotlight on Business, we're heading for some digital golf at Highlander Golf Course. Welcome to the NCWLIFE channel's Spotlight on Business. I'm Eric Granstrom. Today we're here at the Highlander Golf Course in East Wenatchee. We're going to talk to Mark Babst, who's the assistant head pro, about how the Highlander is a lot more than just golf these days.
I'm Mark Babst, assistant golf professional at the Highlander Golf Course. So in 2002, we opened up as link style course. Difficulty in link style course is a lot higher than a traditional golf course. So we transitioned it more to user friendly. So that's how you see it now with the tree line fairways, but we have wide fairways. We still have big greens. Redid pot bunkers into traditional bunkers, so more shallow, a little more open. And then we remodeled our back nine. So 6 out of the 9 holes got remodeled completely back there. All new greens, all new fairways, just new routing. We put in a housing development back there. You still get great views, but yeah, so we've gotten quite different from where we started.
Babst says Highlander is becoming a destination for more than just golf, especially for group functions after hours and special events.
Shalane Murphy's our food and beverage manager. She's great. has really every year stepped up the game with the food and what they do to it with all their different functions. So we have a lot of not only daily fee stuff coming through here, patrons that eat, but we have a lot of private events in the evenings, class reunions, weddings, receptions, just a lot of different things. And mostly because of the way our clubhouse sits, what it looks like, and where it's at. We're far enough out of town to where you're not stuck in town doing things. You kind of feel like you're more out of town up here. You sit up on the cliff, you overlook the valley and the Columbia River. So we have a great patio for that. So a lot of people that do their reception wedding stuff really like that. So the old putting green out here on the north side of the building is now a natural wedding pad. So we flattened that all out, re-grassed, turfed it. So now it's slowly getting built into what will be our all-natural wedding pad. So we'll be able to put chairs, obviously the ceremony up there. We'll be able to put tents for a reception down there. So it's a lot more, it's a better use of the property there than the putting green that was there. Sure. Yeah, I think our entrance is dramatic, and it should be. Kind of sets the tone for everything from, like I said, your drive in to your initial seeing of the clubhouse in the distance, driving up close to it, seeing the golf course on the left, seeing the driving range on the right. And then as soon as you park, our outside staff greets you, finds out what you need, where you're going, and we help you get there. So everything's kind of a system, the way it looks and the way it's presented.
Highlander's excited to offer its new simulator rooms to provide golf year-round as well as to serve other purposes.
So this is our old patio that didn't get used a whole lot because it's on the other side of the building opposed to where the restaurant is. So we started coming up with an idea of where we could put these simulators. So behind me is a full swing golf simulator. We did a bunch of research, saw a bunch of different simulators. These are by far the best one out there. So devised a plan with the owner, was able to build it off our existing building and make it look like it's always been here. So this room houses 2 S4 wide simulators. So the screens behind me are 10 feet high, 16 feet wide. And with a projector, high def projector, you can play TV on it. Obviously you've got golf. We've got 84 golf courses to choose from. So can't really get bored in here. And if you do, we also have a simulated gun range. So pistol, shotgun, rifle, all these things you can do with the full swing simulator. So you've got a real Colt 1911 handgun with a laser tip. You've got a real Wingmaster shotgun with a laser tip. So it's not like your plastic at-home game, controller. This is a real gun, just converted to the laser tip so we can use it on here. So yeah, you've got hunting games, wild boar hunting, pheasant hunting, squirrel hunting. You've got trap shooting, skeet shooting, target shooting. You got pistol tactical walkthroughs that you go through, and it's all timed and scored off of misses and hits. So you and your buddies can go through and see who's got the better shot. So we've got golf, guns, and now we got games. So we host some kids' birthday parties in here as well that kids really like, because we've got interactive sports. So you've got soccer where you've got a goalie or you've got targets, so you actually kick the real soccer ball into the screen. You can put boost on too, which kids love, because now we're kicking it 5 times harder than it normally do. You've got hockey. You actually have a stick. You've got a little piece of fake ice that you hit the hockey stick or the hockey puck into the goal to try and beat the goalie. It can be a real life goalie. It's kind of a cartoon goalie, so kids really like that as well. And a bunch of different home run derby, pitching, football, cricket for some reason that's on there, bocce ball, carnival games, zombie dodgeball. So again, real kid user friendly stuff that they seem to really like. So again, if they're renting out the whole facility, they get both sides. So a lot of times they'll get the golf on one side and the games on the other, or the guns. And the guns aren't violent by any means. You can take off certain controls and make it kind of more of a fun game for the kids. So for the smaller kids, it's fun.
Even though the games are fun, the simulator's meant to help golfers hone their game and extend their season so you can play year-round.
In here, what's great is you have the player hitting, and you've got numbers and data to back up what you're telling them. So if I tell you outside that you're coming across the ball and that's what's creating the shot, you have to believe me. In here, I tell you that, numbers pop up, and it shows club path, it shows club face, so it validates what as a teacher I'm telling you. So it just kind of brings more credibility to what we do and what we see. And then also players can come back in here on their own, be able to see the numbers that we've shown them and try and get to those numbers. So a more of effective way to practice as well. But come October, November, when the weather and seasons change, people will start migrating into here. So we'll book hourly. 2 guys can play 18 holes in a little over an hour. The system is very quick. It can tell you who's next while it's showing the current person their stats. So if you're ready, the system's ready. The system just validates it for us, and it makes it a lot easier in here because we have everything readily available on our slat wall with our Titleist fitting system. So everything is within reach here. You know, before in the olden days, you'd have to drag out a cart to the range, pick through and figure out everything that you have out there, forget something, run back in. So a lot more efficient in here. And like I said, we have a Titleist fitting system right now. We're looking to add a couple vendors probably this off season into next year because they've seen what we've done here. They're a lot more apt to bring their product in here. We do have accounts with, you know, all the major manufacturers: Ping, Titleist, Callaway, TaylorMade. So anything anyone wants to buy, they can buy through us. We just fit with our Titleist system, but that can translate to a Ping iron or a Titleist iron, or I mean TaylorMade iron. So it doesn't have to be Titleist. That's just the fitting system we use at the moment.
With the holidays around the corner, what's the perfect gift from the Highlander?
A good golf gift is a gift card. So with our gift cards up here, you can use it for anything. You can use it for golf, you can use it for merchandise, you can use it for the simulators, you can use it in the food and beverage. So an easy one that I always tell people is just get them a gift card. But, you know, a shirt is always great, a hat is always great, a round of golf is always great. But the easiest thing is get them a gift card, let them buy whatever they want up here.
Welcome back to NCWLIFE's Spotlight on Business. Today we're in Lake Chelan at a place that's become a staple for locals as well as out-of-towners. We're here at Lake Chelan Mail Boxes to talk to the owners who have been working here and loving here for 20 years, Jerry and Sherry Bragg.
Hi, welcome to Lake Chelan. I'm Sherry Bragg, and this is my husband,
Jerry. And we're very fortunate. This end of this month will be 20 years in business at the same location, and we've enjoyed every second of it.
20 years, hon? I was only going to do it for 5. Starting at the front door, we have a color copier, and then we have our wide format in which to do the blueprints, or we can do posters and embarrass people to death. And they can be very tall. They can be 36 by 48 if you really want to embarrass them. And then we have our cards, and we also do our notarizing, faxing, surprisingly. We do a lot of faxing still because banks and medical facilities, they want faxes. They don't want it emailed. And we also have all of our supplies for mailing and shipping and some office supplies. And then we have our computer in which the customer is able to use. And then lastly, we have our mailboxes, which are full.
Full.
We only have just a couple of large boxes left. Comes up.
Private mailboxes gives people the opportunity to run their own personal life or a business with a street address. And we receive FedEx and UPS besides the postal system for our mailbox customers at no additional cost to them. So it gives them that advantage so they can be gone or not physically here when a UPS or a FedEx delivery happens. And that's part of the advantage. The other real advantage is it gives you a street address versus a P.O. box number.
And we also do forwarding to our snowbirds. And some of our snowbirds like to travel all around, and we are able to give them the advantage of us following them and sending their mail to wherever they are.
Jerry says his experience growing up in Manson is what drew the couple back to the area for their business.
Grew up on the North Shore at the end of the road here on the north side of the lake, and lakefront property. We had 1 square mile when I was a youngster. And when we first got married back in the late 60s or mid 60s.
Now you're giving our age away.
There weren't any jobs available here for us, so we both went into banking. When our daughter unfortunately passed away unexpectedly in '97, we just decided we needed to change from the coast environment, And my wife wanted to come back into banking a little bit, and we had a summer home here, and we moved back. She went back to banking, and then she said, I want a business.
So I was only going to run it for 5 years, is what I was thinking. And as you know, as my husband mentioned, 20 years later, we're still having fun doing it.
After their daughter's passing in 1997, Sherry says starting the new business was cathartic and helped her through the pain.
In fact, she gave me a lot of encouragement in which to, it's kind of scary to start your own business. And it was a lot of encouragement for me to succeed in this. And it did. It gave me something in which to do and continue to do. And we both enjoy doing it. We are definitely a moms and pop store. We love talking politics. We love talking about the fires, anything that's going on in the community. And everybody comes in and visits for longer than I think they had thought they were going to stay.
The Braggs make a constant effort to support their tight-knit community, whether it be by assisting with extra fees for documents for families in need or supporting local firefighting efforts. From custom-built train sets to fully decorated Christmas trees, the Braggs say they've seen just about everything come through their shop.
We have the hotels will bring things in that are left at the hotel room and ship through us, and we charge the customer. We had dentures come in, and I was wondering, how in the world could the guy even have breakfast? How could he leave his dentures? But they found the dentures, and I didn't enjoy packing those.
Well, one thing's for sure, when you go to Lake Chelan Mail Boxes, you'll hear a story.
How many people ask about your hand?
Oh, on an average, maybe.
It's probably more. Yeah.
And they've all stopped picking their nose.
I probably get 3 or 4 requests or inquiries a month. It's just one of those things. This was the sawmill where Mill Bay Boat Launch is now. Used to be the sawmill, Lake Chelan Box Company. And this was the year I got out of high school.
Wow. No kidding.
Had done the same job for 3 years.
But I was curious if you had a ready-made answer for the kids when they asked that question. Or
Yeah, I said, you know,
Don't pick your nose.
don't pick your nose, because Mom and Dad will slap your hand.
What about the future? The Braggs say they'll continue their venture even through the changes in technology.
We don't know when we'll quit because it's a fun business to do.
It's one of those businesses where we can lock the door at night, go home, and not have to worry about it. It's not like, oh gosh, we should have done this, we should have done that, what happened here. And I mean, it's in the carrier's hands once it goes out the back door. And we've done everything we can to get it that far. Somewhere down the road with electronics, as they're progressing with the Amazons of the world and the Googles, we'll see a dramatic reduction in it.
With 20 years of experience behind them at Lake Chelan Mail Boxes, the Braggs have a piece of advice for all of your shipping this holiday season.
This coming holiday season being a little unique in the fact that Christmas falls on a Tuesday this year, and we highly recommend people get their shipping done by Friday the 21st of December, because we will be closed on the 21st until Wednesday the 26th, simply because nothing is going to move on Monday the 24th. So we'd like to recommend people really consider this holiday season and start Thanksgiving or before thinking about getting that shipment to Aunt Sally in southern Arkansas early December.